All right, what's up, everybody? We are here at UFC 266 card best bets, picks, lineup strategies, FanDuel, DraftKings, DFS, you name it. We are here. We have 3 5-round fights on this Saturday slate. Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. We have Valentina Shevchenko and Lauren Murphy. And for some reason, we have Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz. But we're going to break them down. About a 10-minute video here to take you through the slate, give you the way to bet it and the way to build your DFS lineups. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, joined by Jake the Snake, owner of MMA DFS.com and the writer of the Daily Plug at OccupyFantasy.com for UFC contests. Jake, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, man. What's happening?
Busy week, as always. Literally every week is busy. So I'm excited. Big card, big contest, especially on DraftKings. So let's jump into it. If you want breakdowns for every single fight on this slate, check out MMADFS.com, the sheet which Jake writes. Every single fight, both sides, fighter histories, betting, and DFS implications. And if you want our specific picks for FanDuel and DraftKings and how to build lineups, check out OccupyFantasy.com's Daily Plug. So, Jake, 3 5-rounders. We've had a few of these types of cards before over the last year and a half, 2 years. So, before we go into each individual matchup, give me a quick high-level overview of what it means and how different it is for 3 5-rounders versus our typical 1 5-round fight.
Yeah, I mean it's very different, Like normally we're telling people like you want to have one fighter from the main event typically. So now we have 3 of those. So, people wonder, do you have to get 3 of them, do you get 2 of them? And we've been looking at the numbers. This is the 4th one this year that we've had with 3 5-rounders. In 2 of those, the optimal lineup had 2 5-round fighters, and in one of them it was 3. And we've seen a dog make the optimal in all 3 of those previous slates. So, I mean, it's pretty simple here. You want 2 to 3 5-round fighters for high-risk lineups. You probably want to get a dog in there. For low-risk lineups, it's pretty simple, too. You can literally jam in 5, leave out Murphy, pick your favorite fighter after that to fill out a low-risk lineup. Not too complicated. We've seen those do pretty well. I mean, it doesn't always hit. Like, if we have a ton of dogs go off, I mean, things could get crazy. But I think that's going to be pretty solid this time. I think we're going to see some high volume fights with the Diaz Lawler, and also probably in the main event with Volkanovski and Ortega. So I think that's pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, so for these types of slates, low-risk contests are your best bet. 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads, especially on DraftKings, because the strategy is so easy and so proven. Jamming in 5-round fighters and playing the best after that. So you mentioned leaving out Lauren Murphy. Let's start with that fight. And again, because we're only here for 10, 15 minutes, we'll try to keep it somewhat brief. Because again, if you want extensive breakdowns, you can check out either one of our sites. But let's start with the Shevchenko and Murphy matchup. Shevchenko is up to like minus 1,400 and something, as high as minus 1,600 in some places. I'll ask you these brief questions, Jake. Is she worth the price tag on both sites? What does Lauren Murphy have to do to win here? And how are you playing this fight for tournaments?
Yes, I mean, I think Shevchenko clearly has the highest floor on both sides and super high ceiling, as she's shown. She does have a pretty wide range of outcomes that she's shown in the past. I mean, it's a high floor, but it's not guaranteed to score, 100, 120 points. She's shown ways where she doesn't land enough volume. So if she doesn't get a ton of takedowns, potentially she doesn't go off. In terms of how Murphy wins, she doesn't.
Are you playing? If you make 150 lineups, are you having her at all?
I'm playing 0% Murphy in 150 lineups.
Okay, fair enough. I'll play enough for the both of us then, I guess.
Fair.
And then, so I think that answers most of it, right? So pretty high floor, has a high ceiling, but isn't guaranteed to hit that ceiling even at a minus 1,400 favorite. Let's talk about the actual main event: Volkanovski and Ortega. Pretty good matchup here on paper. Thoughts on both sides, how you're playing it in tournaments?
Yeah, so I really like the Volk side here. I know Ortega, he came out and probably had his best fight of his career against the Korean Zombie in his last matchup, but I think that was a little bit of fool's gold. I don't think he's as good. I don't think he's on Volk's level here. I think we're going to see the champion hold the belt. I know a lot of people are probably a little bit lower on Volk just because it looked like he lost the last Holloway fight. So automatically they're going to be a little lower on him. And Ortega, he just destroyed the Korean Zombie, so people will be a little higher on him. So from a tournament perspective, that just makes me like Volk even more because I think their ownership is actually going to be pretty close, whereas I think Volk actually has a pretty big advantage here in the striking department.
How crazy is it if you're making 10 or more lineups to completely fade Ortega in this spot?
I mean, I don't think it's completely crazy. I mean, I think you have to take stands somewhere on this slate, and if you want to just lock in Volk, and then you want to, take some other stands elsewhere, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, I think that at their prices, I think it's safer that Volk makes the optimal tournament lineup compared to Shevchenko.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, and let's talk about this last fight that apparently the fighters don't even know why they're fighting. Lawler and Diaz, right? So Lawler's lost his last four. Diaz literally hasn't won in 10 years, hasn't fought in 7 years. If you can break down this fight and what it means for DFS lineups.
I mean, how crazy is this fight? It's literally a rematch from 2004. I mean, just completely wild. I mean, I don't even know what to say about Diaz, man. Like he was decent literally a decade ago. I mean, like, but who knows? We haven't seen him fight in so long. I mean, could he do anything to make us like trust him less this week? I mean, moving up in weight. I mean, these shadow boxing, like, Twitter videos, like the weigh in, his interviews. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like, whoever set this up is an idiot. Like, what is going, like, dude, it's almost like he's playing himself in DFS and he's trying to get all the ownership off. I
It's
mean,
working,
the way
dude.
it seems.
It's
It's
working.
definitely working. I mean, the line has been moving a ton. I think people are kind of overlooking the fact that Lawler has also been terrible. He's lost four in a row, five of his last six, pretty much never scores well. I think people are just going to Lawler by default. And I'm not saying I think like Diaz is definitely going to win or is even going to look good. He might come out and look terrible. He might look like a dude that rolled off the couch, but I definitely don't love Lawler either. So, I mean, assuming that one of these guys is probably going to score decently, just because I don't think we're going to see a lot of defense, it's going to be probably a sloppy brawl. I don't know, man. I think you want to have decent exposure to both, but I think it's kind of funny that, everyone's just giving up on Diaz, but I mean, I don't blame them.
He's looked rough. He's sounded rough. Doesn't sound confident. But again, this is the danger of trying to read into things before the fight, right? And because we don't know every fighter's mentality, we don't know what they've been training. So a lot of that is unknown information. If we try to pick apart each individual thing they do or say, that can be a tough process for MMA DFS. All right, so we talked about the 3 5 rounders, Jake. I know you're a tape guy. You're not a simulations guy, but if you were to simulate this slate 10,000 times, right, what do you think is the most likely outcome for 5 round fighters in the optimal lineup? How many? Which ones?
I think the most likely outcome is going to be one of Lawler Diaz and Volkanovski. And then I think Shevchenko gets outscored by, one of these many high priced fighters we have with, there's a ton. There's Semmelsberger, there's Mirab Dvalishvili, we've got Andrade, we've got Santos. I mean, there's so many other options that I just think it's going to be hard for Shevchenko to outscore all of them. I mean, I didn't even mention Blades, but I mean, there's so many. So I think the most likely outcome is, we get Lawler Diaz as kind of the cheaper 5 round option. We get Volk locked in as kind of the mid-priced option. And then those are the only two in the optimal lineup.
Yeah, because there are a bunch of fighters in that 9K or higher range on DraftKings, $20 or higher on FanDuel that can put up massive scores. So let's transition a little bit. If we stick with the tournament theme, Jake, give me 2 fights that you're targeting that you think can produce a high score on either side, regardless of who wins.
So my main one is going to be the Medic Turner fight. I really think that one's going to end early. Medic has never been in a fight that lasted longer than 6 minutes. He's 7-0. All 10 of Turner's pro wins have come early. I really don't see that one going the distance. So I really like the winner to score well. I think either guy has a chance to win it. Kind of like Turner's side, but I mean, Medic looked good in his debut, but he really hasn't fought anybody. So this is a good test for him. And Turner had 2 easy fights against short notice late replacements last year also. So I mean, neither one of these two are overly proven, but I do think that is going to end early. So I really like that one. I mean, that's my main one. What one are you looking at here?
Yeah, that's definitely the one that sticks out, right? Like we have these 2 guys that like to end fights early, wide range of outcomes. The other one, to me, I guess it's really tough because that's definitely the biggest one. So if we look at it this way, right? We look at pace up spots, pace down spots, And I don't think this is necessarily a fight that you have to target. But as we move on to the next segment of our favorite low-owned fighters, where fighters that aren't going to be popular in tournaments, I'll start with mine and say Omar Morales, because I do think that that fight, whoever wins has a really good chance of scoring well, mostly because of Pierce's frenetic pace and his striking volume and his takedown potential. And if Pierce wins, it's either by a finish, or if he wins a decision, it's because of volume and takedowns. Whereas Morales normally doesn't score that well, Jake, but if Pierce can draw him into that type of fight, then Morales can put up a career high score.
Yeah, I like that. I think Morales is a good play. I think he's going to go under the radar after, he's been to a few decisions in a row that haven't scored well. So I like that. If we're doing a low-owned take, I like Jessica Andrade, and that was another one I was considering as giving out as a fight to target. But I don't love Calvillo there, but I do think if she wins, there's a decent chance she scores well. And it's kind of the same idea. Andrade is super high paced. She's going to push the pace, force the action, so that for Calvillo to win, it's probably going to come from a submission, most likely. I mean, I don't think she's going to outstrike Jessica Andrade, so it's almost like she would have to win by submission. So I think you can target that fight as well.
Cool. I like that call too. We actually skipped a section. We normally do UFC fighters making their debut, and we do have 3 on this card that are stepping into the UFC octagon for the first time. Jake, 2 of them are fighting against each other, and it was a weird scenario with another late replacement, and now we have a mispriced fighter on DraftKings. It's not as egregious as Rongju from last week, but we do have Nick Maximo was scheduled to face Carl Roberson. He's stepped out. Cody Brundage is stepping in. And so Maximo is slightly underpriced, right? He's minus 139, minus 140, depending on where you look. He's 8K on DraftKings. Should be a little more expensive than he is. But talk to me about this matchup, what this could look like, these 2 fighters' backgrounds. Just quickly, give me the context of this fight.
Yeah, so both these guys are former college wrestlers. I think that they're both going to come in with the idea of wrestling, but Maximo for sure looks more one-dimensional, whereas Brundage has been a little bit more willing to stand and trade on the feet. Maximo has never fought anybody. Super padded record, 6-0. He had like a circus Dana White Contender Series fight where this guy fights at like 185 to 205. He took on a heavyweight. It was like really bizarre. He was 209 pounds fighting a guy that was 263. And it was really strange.
What happened in that fight? I saw the Discord chatter about that fight, but what actually ended up happening in that fight?
So Maximov caught a kick to start the fight and immediately took the guy down, and like pretty much the entire fight just stayed on the ground with nothing really happening.
Cool fight, guys. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So Maximo, just from a DFS perspective, as being underpriced, what are your thoughts? Does his ownership get out of control, and is he a guy that we have to think about fading, or do we have to play heavily? What do you think?
Yeah, so we've seen that line move a lot. When they originally dropped the line, some books had it like negative 250 or something really crazy. It's down to negative 130. So his ownership originally was going to be in the 40s. Now it's kind of down in the 30s. We'll see if the line moves anymore. It seems like it keeps going closer to a pick 'em, and I think people are just kind of like, look, these are both guys making their UFC debuts. We don't know a lot about either one. We're not going to be overly confident. So I think people are taking the value and betting Brundage. Honestly, it's a tough one to know how it plays out, man. Like it's always hard to predict how wrestling matches are going to play out, let alone when it's 2 guys making their UFC debuts. So one of them could completely overpower the other. Maybe Brundage keeps the fight on the feet. Maximov striking looks terrible and Brundage knocks him out. Maybe Maximov completely overpowers Brundage because he just took on a heavyweight in a wrestling match. So a lot of potential outcomes. Honestly, that I should have put out as a fight to target, because for sure it's such a high variance spot. There's a really good chance once you add in the mispricing that the winner of that one is going to end up in the optimal on DraftKings. So that's for sure a fight to target. We probably shouldn't overlook that. But yeah, Maximo should be like 8,500 based on Brundage's price. He's only 8,000. That'll definitely push his ownership up some, but I don't think it gets crazy here.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor the money line on Saturday to see if it pushes anymore, because the way it's going, Brundage could be the favorite by the time the fight kicks off. So that would really change things up. The other fighter, again, as we get closer to the end of the show here, is Martin Santos, who is making his debut. I don't know why he's fighting on this card either. But Jake, he is a plus 330 underdog, and Simmelsberger is actually the cover boy of our daily plug, which should tell you everything you need to know about his opponent Santos in this fight.
Pretty much, man. Sano is following the Nick Diaz path to life. He hasn't fought in like 4.5 years. He's part of the Nick Diaz Academy, which is why he's on this card. Nick Diaz pulled some strings and got his buddy on. This guy is terrible. He's literally so bad. Like, go back and watch some of his old fights. Like, he looks like he's fighting on like horse tranquilizer. He's so tired at the end of some of these fights. I mean, I literally have no idea how this guy is on a UFC card, even though he knows Nick Diaz. Like, I can't believe they let him be on here. I mean, he looks like he's gonna be the type of guy that like got a 3-fight contract and they cut him after one fight because he looks so bad.
My God.
Just pay him.
All right, so I mean, I like to get crazy in tournament lineups, but I don't even know if I can play the guy you've characterized as looking like he fights on horse tranquilizers. Are you planning to know in any lineups tomorrow?
I don't think so, man. I think I'm just Xing out Sano and Murphy, and I'll probably have everyone else in my pool.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so as we wind down the show here, we've talked about everything you need to know from a DFS perspective. Jake, let's close it out with our stream parlay of the week. I'm going to go with Hack Parast by decision. I think it's plus 340. It's one of your bets in the plug. I like him in that fight. So that'll be my side. So give me your side of our stream parlay.
Check with the cover boy and go Semmelsberger round 1 KO at plus 260.
Okay, plus 260 and a plus 340. That should get us. You got the calculator up.
It's plus 1484.
Oh, we'll take that all day. Plus 1484. Let's get it. It seems though that our stream parlays, whether or not we can either one get our side right, whoever's side comes up first on the night just immediately loses. So let's see if we can just get the first one out of the way on Saturday, and then maybe we'll be live. How's that sound?
I like it, man. We do.
All right, so that'll do it for this video. We appreciate everyone listening through till the end. Be sure to check out MMADFS.com, where you can check out Jake's work. The sheet breaks down every single fighter on the card and their betting and DFS implications. Follow Jake on Twitter at DFS_MMA. OccupyFantasy.com is where you can read the daily plug, all of our top plays, lineup strategies for FanDuel and DraftKings for different contest types. Our Occupy model, which you saw on screen here for a little bit, has projected ownership, rankings for both FanDuel and DraftKings based on back-tested data. You can follow me on Twitter at BrianJesterFF and follow us at Occupy Fantasy. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified whenever we upload any new videos. Give us that thumbs up if you want more UFC content. If you have any questions, comment on the video below. Or the better way is to hop in our Discord channel, OccupyFantasy.com/Discord. Click the join button here on YouTube. That'll get you access to talk with other Occupy Fantasy members and staff. All right, for Jake, I'm Brian. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Good luck in UFC 266.